just to ensure that everything was going okay. She did went to the exam and she did so well in the exam that she got a chance to go to Teachers College. And I'm going to show you my next slide that shows you the top ones. That's her dorm room in Teachers College. And below are pictures of the little Mahalia Murray. That's the little baby. I remember I was so frightened when I went to the doctor for the first time and I heard the baby's heartbeat and I was like, oh my God, I was thinking of an abortion because my brain was working out of control. I was thinking about shame. I was thinking about humiliation. I was thinking about so many things. How do I hold my head up? I was thinking about the church because I was very active in the church. How do I do that? I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of this baby right now before the world knows. But by the time I found out it was 5 months, and when we got to the doctor, we could hear the heartbeat beating so hard, I almost fainted in that room. Believe you me, that was an experience. And so I saw this little baby girl looking so beautiful. First one in the plaid dress was her just being a little naughty girl. Second one was when she was going to prep school. And the other one was my daughter at the time with the little baby girl. Those were challenging times. Now this is my teenage granddaughter. She's now 13 and my daughter is on the other side, she's 31. So I had some real challenging times. You know, she went to Teachers College, I had to have the baby. I was the caregiver for the baby. I had to go to work. I had to be doing so many things. I have to be thinking about money to send for her. And she was like a little baby girl crying at Teachers College. It was a mess. But you know, the kind of support that you give to your adolescents is what makes the difference. That's what makes the difference. And so I survived. We all survived. And so that is what would give me the frame of reference to be able to talk to you this afternoon a little more about understanding the adolescence. So let us look at the whole definition of adolescence. Adolescence is a period of time between childhood and adulthood. The period of physical and psychological development from the onset of puberty to maturity. And it's a transitional period of development between youth and maturity. It is also a bridge that connects childhood to adulthood. It's also a continuum of physical, cognitive, behavioral, and psychosocial change. There are 3 psychosocial phases of adolescence, and we're going to talk about them. I'm just going to name them now. We're going to talk about what happens at each stage. So early adolescence is ages 10 to 13, middle adolescence ages 14 to 16, and late adolescence ages 17 to 19. The early adolescence stage 10 to 13, this is a stage where you see a lot of physical development and changes throughout the body. You know, have the breast growing and the hair under the arm and pubic hair and so many different things, voice changes and all of that. So we're going to talk about some of those later on. So there's constant physical development. There's cognitive development. They develop the ability to think, learn, reason, and remember things. They also develop emotionally and socially. And this is where there's the urge to be more independent. They want to do stuff for themselves. They learn things from the social environment and all of that. And then there's the sensory and the motor development, where they tend to be clumsy doing stuff, and you know, just clumsiness will come in because they're really not sure about themselves. And so a lot of changes will take place. In the middle adolescence, age 14 to 16, it's just more of each of those development, right? So you have physical development, emotional development, again, social development, and mental development. And in the late adolescence, 17 to 19, is where you find most of the emotional development, You know, they start feeling things, started feeling a little cute. And we're going to talk a little more about some of those emotional developments as we go along. So these developments don't stop until you no longer exist. But these are the key ages where most of the development will take place. And when you look at the characteristics of adolescence, I mean, it's some of you may have the experience, you may see it, you may hear of things, but we have to put some face to it. So adolescents tend to be age segregated. They spend more time by themselves. Everything happening, even at church, you find that adolescents are given their special lesson time quarterly. You have adult time and you have adolescents time. That particular teenagers, the age group, usually stay together. In school, they usually categorized like that. They interact mostly with their own age group rather than with younger children and older adults. So once you're an adolescent, you tend to want to stick to each other, very close to each other, and everybody has seemed like fool. And this may largely be dictated by the organization of our educational institutions. So you put them in grades, right? Some other characteristics, although adolescents may prefer to spend their times with others of the same age proximity, it does not limit their ability to guide younger people and learn from older ones. So if they are drawn to you, they will, come around and they'll learn some things, but they're also able to be good examples. They're not all bad. So while these stages may be challenging and they may be experiencing emotional, mental, psychological changes, physical changes, there are good things that will come from most of them. And this is where parents will come in to guide them properly. Adolescents are heavily targeted and influenced by the mass media. Now you look at it, I mean, everything you hear in social media, WhatsApp, the TikTok, what are the other ones? I have two little young ones with me here, and maybe they can tell what are the things that in the media now that where the young people are. Instagram, and what else? Twitter. You hear that? The young people using Twitter, right? So even though they are young, they want to be a part of what's happening. And most of the things that are selling, the products that they put out and everything, they are there as a target for our adolescents. And with rapidly developing physical and cognitive capacities, they are especially vulnerable to counterculture aspects of media programming. So even when you watch the movies, the American culture, the Canadian culture, we see where schoolers are going on dates, they are sexually active, a lot of things are happening. They talk to their parents anyway, they are involved in a lot of things. And these are some of the things that they're learning as they engage in media overall. They seek excessive stimulation as they are bombarded with images and sounds of tragedy, sexuality. Everybody, once a child starts burst breast, we usually say, your indicator turn on. Yes, the bottom, they start getting wider at the hip area, and they think, okay, she have bottom now, so she's old enough, and and we have magazines, we have the internet, we have TV, video games, and more than all, we have the explicit music, we have Vibes Cartel, what you can do for the whatnot and get whatever what, right? So these are the things that our adolescents are faced with. These are some of the characteristics that you can look for when they get to this age. These are the things that they mostly engage in, and these are the things that are there, targeting them, exposing them. So there are 5 I's of adolescents that they want to talk about. Independence. They want to make their own decisions. And even though sometimes we know as adults what is best for them, they want to be able to make their own decisions. So they have to be a part of whatever decision making. coming from an era where you hear that children must be seen and not heard, that is no longer. So if you're making any decision for them, you're thinking about school that you want them to go, you know, that they're doing exams, you want them to do whatever it is, they want to be a part of the decision. They want the power to choose their friends and plan their activities. You know, friends having party, they want to go over to the party. And they can't understand when we say to them that these things, it's not just simple like that. I cannot allow you to go all the way to Lucy to visit your friend. It's not as innocent as it is. So they want the power to choose, right? They want to be consulted in areas that affect their life, right? So anything at all you're doing, they must be a part of it. They want privacy and freedom. I remember the days when I couldn't enter my daughter's room anymore. She's in the bathroom and I can't go in. I can't see breast anymore. I can't see vagina because hair is on it and it's no longer my place to look at it. I remember my son, I could not look in. I remember when he was smaller at 5 and 7, he would come and say, Mommy, I get my morning stiffness. But then after a while, I was not able to see anything at all, stiffness or non-stiffness. So at that age, they become very, very private and they want their freedom, right? Their focus is gradually shifted from parents to peers. So they undermine and undervalue everything that the parent is saying. They value everything that their friends say. But parents saying, but no, this is not how it's supposed to be. And then they hear, no, my friend said so and so and so and so. They don't want to hear from parents. They undermine it. They might just ask you something, but it's because they really want to laugh at you because they pay more attention to what their friends are saying. So a lot of mistrust takes place during adolescence, right? And it's not just their parents alone. The entire family members, they don't value the opinion of family members. It's all about their friends, what their friends saying and what their friends doing. And they also develop and express their own opinions and ideas. Very expressive, very expressive. Even if they don't ask them any question, they feel like they need to be saying something. You know, so you tell them, you ask them to do something, but why I have to do it? Why I have to do it? Because you're a child. But why does a child have to do it? Why can't you do it? Why can't somebody else do it? These are some of the things they want to express themselves, and they're not afraid. So the days when you said children must be seen and not heard, those days are far gone. And then there's identity. The big question is, who am I? What do I want to be? And most often at this stage, we confuse our adolescents. You know why? We send them to do things, they do it, we beat them. This is not how it's supposed to be done. You're a big girl, you're a big girl. And when they cry, shut up, you know, say you're a little girl. So 1 minute they are big and 1 minute they are small. So we are the ones who confuse them most times, right? But this is the stage where they want to see, who am I? Who am I? You know, they experiment with their dressing and they try to speak. You see them in the mirror a lot of times. They want to try behaving different ways. You know, they emulate some persons around them. They're not even sure if they're big or they're little. And sometimes we help them not to even know who they are because we confuse them too much, right? Sometimes they even go as far as changing the spelling of their name. They adopt a new accent, you know, new expressions. You hear the slang out the road. Oh, yeah, what are the new talk now? There are new talks, you know, new expressions.
Like instead of saying hi.
Instead of saying hi, they say,
what's a guan?
What a guan, yeah, yo. Yeah. And then I hear somebody, the little more mature ones will say, yo, dog. I don't know when we get to that stage, but these are the adolescents that we have, right? So they get new expressions, they learn things on the road. They join cause-oriented activities like saving the environment, nationalism, teen club. What are the other clubs that we have? 4-H clubs and all those other clubs in school. That's why they have to have these things as outlet for our adolescents in high school, right? They daydream and imagine themselves in different roles, identities, and situations, right? You see, they put on things and they put on your wig if they find it and they flash it here around and they're modeling certain things. I'm watching my granddaughter. She is the teenager now, and I'm watching her. I'm seeing myself unfold because many times we don't remember that we're teenagers, we're adolescents. And so when we see the young people, we kind of shun them. But remember that they are seeking to find out who they are. And so they'll try to change their appearance and change everything about them, right? They develop their own interests and likes. And it changes from time to time. This minute a year say, oh, I like so and so and so. And next week you mention it, like, I don't like them anymore. No, no, no. I don't want to hear about them. And you wonder what the hell happened. Last week, you were all talking about this exciting thing. And this week, you know, no longer like it. So they're seeking to identify who they are, and they go through the different things that they see out in the environment, the different ways people behave, the different things that are said, you know, all the different norms. They experience all of them. And of course, there is intimacy. They want to be connected with significant people who can understand and accept them for who they are. So my granddaughter is home and she wants to say something to her mommy, and her mommy just shut it down. And she come and she said, Grandma, you know, we're trying to say this to my mom, but she don't understand because I am the vibes one and I'm more comfortable talking to her about certain conversations. Because my daughter got her as a teenager, she never get the chance to really be mature enough to have the conversations with her. And so when she wants to talk about, you know, little intimate little boys that she like and so on, she feels awkward talking to her mother because she's not facilitating the conversation, because she's in her mind frightened that, oh God, my daughter is here, right? So they tend to find people who will be more accepting of them. They learn to manage and express their emotions, sometimes without any apparent reason, just drop in a one corner. Bex and they don't need no move to talk to nobody. You have to be wondering, what the hell did I do? She was just out here playing and happy, and then all of a sudden, what's happening? So sometimes they learn how to manage your emotions. So while you're feeling a particular way in a certain setting, you have to put that feeling away. So they learn to manage and express, right? They learn how to love and be loved. And this is the place where a lot of feelings and emotions are misplaced and misunderstood. So we have to guide them when it comes to intimacy. A lot of things happen, right? They look for close relationship with peers. They may not know it, but they are preparing themselves for loving, stable relationships later on in life, right? So whatever you teach them at that stage, if you are in a relationship as the adult, you're married, and they don't see any intimacy happening between mommy and daddy, they don't even see you holding hands, they've never seen you step together, it's 2 different rooms and all of those. Those are some of the things that form the foundation of what our children or adolescents look for in developing intimate relationships. So as guardians, we have a responsibility to ensure that we give them the right examples. Other than that, it's pure confusion, and it's a mental illness beginning in the teenage years because you're seeking to identify who you are, you're seeking to understand the world. So however we present the world to them, that's how they are going to believe it, operate in it, and exist in it. And the next one is integrity. They choose what is right and what is not right to guide actions and choices. And just imagine if I am someone who has lived in an environment where it's all violence, it's all bad word cussing, it's all confusion and chaos. They won't even know what is right or wrong because they will take that same kind of persona as adults that you are displaying to them right now. So they are looking for role models. Are we the role models? Are we the models? Are we the persons that they want to, we want them to be? Because we have a lot of expectations of them, but we're not thinking about our role in the process. They begin to question things around them, especially those which they believe are not right. So if you're living contrary, they're going to ask you, and they may come out and say some things in public that you have to wonder, Lord Jesus. So when you do things, you're wondering how much are they going to tell somebody about it. So they learn to develop integrity. And then there is the intellect. They develop the power to think in new and exciting ways. You know, they become smarter. They realize, they start looking at career goals. Okay, you know, I see so and so, I want to have a job like that. I remember when my granddaughter was a little smaller, she used to say, Mommy, we were working on the house, we were doing construction, and this man who was working on the house was Brother Mac. And she said, when I grow big, I want to be a Brother Mac. For her, Brother Mac was it because he was a builder and he was doing such an awesome job, and this little girl always wanted to have a big house. So that is what she was looking at. She think it was the brightest and smartest thing. But as they become older, they start looking at career choices. Who do I want to be? You know, what kind of subjects do I start looking for in school? And how many schools do I have to go to become that? How long do I have to spend in college? So they become really smarter. They get better at abstract thinking and logical reasoning. So you say, okay, so if I go to school now and I'm very good at maths and I can do language arts, then when I go further, I can do my CXCs, you know, and when I do my CXC, I can go in this area of study, I can do that. So you don't necessarily have to logical, abstract thinking and logical reasoning. We're looking at not necessarily things that they can touch and see, but it's in their mind. They're thinking about it. They're seeing the vision of it without actually seeing it happen. So they're gone ahead and, you know, thinking a little more. They may tend to overbelieve in their theories and ideas to the point of becoming idealistic and impractical. Sometimes they talk about things, it's like, and you're trying to correct them. They don't want to hear from you. They think soup of everything. You know, I want to be rich. When I grow big, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to have a nice house. I'm going to have a 2-story house, and I'm going to have 3 cars. And they start thinking these things. They're not thinking about how easy or hard it is. They're not looking at the whole thing. Sometimes they have their own theories that people who are poor, they just want to be poor. People have certain things, is because of that. And they see themselves doing greater. So their theories are not always correct, but they still have them. So there are some changes that are to be expected. There's the physical growth, we talk about that. The secondary sex characteristics also develop during adolescence. These are physical changes that do not directly affect production, but are associated with sexual maturation. Sexual urges start to come, all different things happening. The breasts growing, but then there is a stimulation that is internal stimulation that if somebody touches it, it means something, right? So all of those physical growth starts to take place. You know, this one talk about the bust, the hip gets wider and all of those other things here and all of those other things, physical things that you'll see. Sexual behavior may fall within different realms: romantic, loving, and or leading towards marriage. That's what they start thinking about that. We're talking about the casual, no sexual relationship established between having sex, before having sex. And then there's the manipulative part of it, which is where sex is offered to get what something you want, or get what you want. Teasing, flirting with no intention to have a relationship or sex. And exploratory or experimentation. A lot of young people, we are a part of a culture where we're seeing lesbianism creeping in, homosexuality creeping in, and at the teenage years is where all of these changes will come in. And I don't know how many persons are aware, but there's a stage of your development where you fall in love with the same sex peer and you want to explore. You know, I remember one time I had to go to a school because all that was happening was girls were attracted to other girls, and they're at that stage of development where they have not moved on. They become fixated at that stage. So that can be very tricky with them. So we have to be mindful, we have to be monitoring and paying attention and influencing in whatever way we can. Right. So some of them will choose to delay sexual relationship and practice abstinence. So not everybody is heading in the same direction. Some persons have great values and morals, you know, based on how your family has been guiding them, you know. So we have a key role to play. I keep saying that over and over. We talk about all of these pubic hair, facial hair growth, the voice changes, deepening, and muscular development. You know, they show you the six pack, and I don't know what pack it is. In my days, it used to be six pack. How many packs are there now?
There's 12 packs now.
2 packs? 12 pack. All right. So you see, we're hearing about 12 packs now. So many different things are happening now, right? So we see where they you know, social and emotionally, they are connected. Teens struggle with their gender identity. Sexual urges are real, guys. Sexual urges are real. Whether we know it or not, they are real. And we can't just tell them, say, okay, when the sexual urges come, just ignore them. They don't usually just go away like that. We are all sexual beings, and we must remember that. And so our adolescents experience it early, but remember, based on where their mind is and the whole physical development is happening, and we are seeing it, but psychological and mental and psychosocially, some of us will just ignore it and hope it will play out. But sometimes it doesn't. So we have all of these different people who are influencing parents, school, religious groups. All of these present different information about the same one thing. And so sometimes they are confused. All right, so we're going to look at physical and the psychosexual development. Where are we? During this stage, sexual urges once again will be awakened. Right? The cognitive growth. The adolescents have new ability to think hypothetically, make them particularly interested in science and maths, science fiction, fantasy, horror stories, cults, all kind of things. Right? So they think about these things in their mind. And adolescent self-absorption in their own thought. It's all about themselves. It's all about them. Anything happening around, it's all about them. And the values they have lead them to a state of egocentrism. Like it's all about me. I am so special. I am above. They see themselves at the center of everyone's scrutiny and attention. Even when they don't see them, they think it's about them. And this is referred to as the imaginary audience, where the adolescents feel everything that they say or do is on display for everyone to see and judge. Sometimes they'll pass through and you don't even see them. Oh yeah, look at me, sir. You think me not see you looking at me? You're not seeing them, but they believe that the whole world is centered around them. And this makes them particularly sensitive to criticism. They don't take criticism so well. And even when they don't see them, they believe that you're watching them. They develop a belief at some point that they are very special. A personal fable is all about me. You know? They believe nothing bad can happen to them, and that is why they take so much risk. They believe that they will live forever. They are not vulnerable, and they are immortal. These feelings lead them to take serious risks because they say, okay, it can happen to them, but it can't happen to me. Although the adolescent considers themselves as unique, when compared to children or adults, they want to dress and think exactly like their peer groups. So I see my niece, I went to a weekend birthday party, not really a party, it's a household party really. And everybody was just fussy about the kind of clothes, everybody in this naked thing, cut out like, it's like a bath suit. And it was like everybody wanted to be looking the same way. And I was like, wow, everybody talking about a iPhone. One time it was BlackBerry, then it was Samsung. Now everybody wants a iPhone. Right? I don't know what some Apple thing, I don't know, but that is where they are now. Right? They think alike, group think. Adolescents are more susceptible to emotional highs and lows. So this minute you see them, they are very feeling high and above the world, and another little bit of time is somebody totally different. You know? There's the inability to plan ahead and understand the consequences. I always say to my girls, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. right? Risky behaviors occurs less in adolescents with high self-esteem and a stable family with good parent-child communication. We have to have conversations with them. If we don't talk with them, we're going to be in serious, serious challenges because they will listen to other persons over us. And because they're not hearing, it's very likely that they will believe in anybody who presents something that look like it makes sense. And of course, there's the moral development, moral growth. They are able to make moral choices by relying on internalized standards of right and wrong. We have to teach them those moral standards. And so there's a psychosocial development. The adolescence period is one of storm and stress. That's pretty much what it is. There's a mental illness begin here because you're on, the line is so thin between illness, mentally wellness, mentally well and mentally unwell. Right? It's full of contradictions and wide swings in mood and emotions. So it's a turbulent time charge with conflict. So now they are ready for identity. They want to find out again who they are, what's the right, what are my strengths, weaknesses, you know, how will I fit into society, what kind of job I'm going to have, you know, which college I'm going to go, what is going to be my major, you know, all of those things. Will I marry and have children? These are the questions that they ask, and they tell you, they may sound like they have it right, but we know we have to guide them. All right, so, and of course, there are the social aspects, initial dating. We don't allow our adolescents to even talk to us about relationship. We think so they might pick the day if we go sit down in one corner. So we don't encourage them and teach them to date. So if you see a boy at school that you like, if you see a girl that you like, you know, take them home, let us introduce them to me, let us get to know the person and so on. See, you know, we can go and have ice cream together and so on. We believe that is out. We're not supposed to do that. And so most times they hide and do things. I asked my daughter, where did I fail you? Where didn't I, what didn't I do for you? Is it that I wasn't showing you enough love while you ventured out to find a relationship with someone? She said, Mommy, you did everything right. You did everything right. It's just you did not prepare me for when he blew against my ear scan and me just slide down. You said everything. And I said, don't go in a lonely place with no man. But I guess they still venture there because they are risk takers, you know? So girls tend to start dating at earlier ages than boys. And naturally, girls develop and mature earlier than boys. Boys tend to be more interested in sexual intimacy. So girls curious about relationship. They want to be wined and dined and all of those things early, but the boys just want to go in one corner with one girl. Or they're talking about a real man get involved sexually, right? Girls want emotional to develop feelings and all of those things. And, you know, the shy feeling, the laughing and all of those. It's emotional intimacy that girls focus on mostly. Boys looking at sexual intimacy. Dating, especially early on, is practice. We need to encourage them to practice dating. If we don't allow and facilitate the process, then what you find is that they may jump into relationships quickly. They may be hiding behind you and do a lot of stuff. But when you encourage it up front, then you'll find that they become sounder in their decision making and the whole value for relationship. The adolescent is still trying to establish their own identity and must decide who they are before they are truly ready to share themselves with another, right? Sometimes they tell you that they like somebody, and when they get to know the person, they say, it can't be somebody like that boy there. Look how he knows Nancy and me did like him. So they get a chance to explore from early. When you hide them away and say, no, go at the boy and don't do that, you're not passing on any fulfilling information. You have to help them to explore. So we need to provide support for positive coping skills. To support positive adolescent development, we need to do these things. Support and strengthen families. Mommy alone can't do it. Daddy alone can't do it. It takes a family. And I'm not talking about mommy and daddy marrying, because not all relationships in Jamaica is structured like that. So what you'll find, you may have auntie and uncle and grandma and so on. However, the family is, we need the family support. We need to strengthen the family. We need to provide teens with activities in which they can be successful. Encourage them to look beyond their own circumstances and help others. And we need to teach them positive coping skills. When things happen, don't teach them just to lay down, go lock up in a room and ball. We need to teach them how to calculate the things that are happening. Look at it, put it on paper, talk about it. If you do this, what will happen? What are the things that can happen? Yeah? So you have to look at the different things that you have to teach them how to cope. You have to teach them to pursue hobbies, work hard at something, keep busy, volunteer, express your feelings, state needs and wants, and develop the ability to say no. Saying no is very important. That's a word that a lot of these children don't know. We need to teach our adolescents the word no, right? We need to teach them to develop friendships, regular friendships, get to know people, take advantage of community resources, go to the library. You may not need to look at the information because you have access to it on the internet and so on, but going to the library, experience what a library looks like, you know, those places, go to the arts museum, so on. They need to go and see what the community has to offer. Youth Resource Center. We need to teach them to set goals, plan for the future, and set priorities. You know, as parents, we need to know how to cope. And there are just a few I will share with you now, coping skills for parents or guardians. Pick your battles and know the difference between more serious issues versus probable growing pains. So everything some of the children do, we fuss and we carry on and we call them crowd. You get pastor to come home and talk to her because you hear she a text on phone and she talking to somebody on the phone. So get the pastor to come and call on the whole family to come and look at it. No, you pick your battles. Naturally, no, teenagers are curious about certain things. They're curious about boys. They're curious about intimacy, right? They want to know how something works. So we are the ones who have to teach them. Some of it you don't need to call on crowd and create excitement. You give them their privacy. When them stay in them room, if they want to put up pictures on the wall of their favorite artists and so on, allow them to do that. You know, let them do that. Something that's not worth fighting over and tear up the house, so them and not sit the wall and all of that. They don't want to tidy up the room, lock the room door and let them stay in there. Some of the things you don't need to stress yourself over because they are things that they learn to do over time as adolescents. There are times when visitors come in over, you want the place to look right. Yes, you focus on those and help them to understand why those days are important. But just throw the things in the room and let the door and nobody run for blood pressure. Have regular interactions with your daughter or your son to sustain a relationship. Sometimes, if you maintain a good relationship, if you talk about things, when bad things happen, they will come and talk to you. When good things happen, they will also tell you. Some persons, they choose other people to tell other than the parents. The neighbor, pastor down the road, and sometimes these people, even elder and deacon in a church, these people are the ones with them friend, and what they do is take advantage of their vulnerability. So you want to be the one that they'll come and share everything with, build that relationship, right? Have interaction with them. Some of the mothers will do it with the girls, but the boys just get left alone because it's a culture where boys just let loose and go on. So we need regular interaction with boys and girls. Don't underestimate the importance of regular family meals. Family meal times is where you get to talk about a lot of things. Even on Sundays, you go around the table, gather up family time, movie night, do activities, board games, trips. I always say to my children, come family time, we're going to go in the car, we're going to drive up and down, we're going to go through Iron Shore, we're going to go through certain places and look at houses. And just looking at it and us, all of us dreaming together about, oh, that one nice, I like that color. It is exciting because it gives you time to spend with each other. You know, simple things, right? Make sure that there's ongoing contact and communication. Very important. Reflect on how you launch from your family, because many of us, go on like say, we never come from certain family that do certain things, right? We don't remember where we are from, the kind of behaviors that we had as young people, and how many sister you have what did run with from yard at what age, and so on. You reflect on those, and those will help to set the boundaries and the foundation. So you have to look at the type of family where you come from. Are we from a complicated family or overly strained family? And you want to seek to improve on that, right? Or you can look for something, because sometimes in the genes, a lot of things follow the genes. Be mindful of the risk that you may inadvertently use your experience as a model. Use your experience as a model, all right? So think about the risk that you take when you're running from school and going to bush with mom, right? And think about, use those as your guide to say, my daughter has the potential to do that, or my daughter don't. My son, has some genes look like so and so, his behavior reflects so and so and so. I must be cautious. I need to watch him, or I need to allow him because his father is like that and so and so. I don't think it is harmful. And there is always issue when it comes to limit setting. You have to look at how you set the limits. Young people will test the boundaries. They'll go away and stay out. To say stay out 7 o'clock, no later than 7 o'clock, but they'll come home 8 o'clock and see how you react. If you don't do anything about it, what happens is that tomorrow they're going to stay out until 9 o'clock and then 10 o'clock, because you are not looking at the limits that you set. They're testing the boundaries. And once they break it once, they're going to continue to explore, and they'll try to grieve your spirit. Set your boundaries. Everything goes better if you can establish and sustain a working level of communication with your teenager, your adolescent. Be mindful of the longer term goals to help your teenager leave you and return later as a fellow adult. You don't want them to become resentful of you because, allow them to go anywhere, just locked up in a house and overprotective. I've seen many children who are not allowed to go out, thief out a yard and go away, and get in all kind of problems because they are not able to communicate to their family to say, I want to go here and you can trust me. There must be some level of trust. So your job is to safely guide your teenager, your adolescent into late adolescence, early adulthood, and to have faith that he or she will return as a fellow adult. You can't guide everything that they do. You speak to them and allow them sometimes to make decisions, to make mistakes. Doesn't have to be horrible mistakes, but they allow them to make mistakes, and they will learn from it. Your goal is not to simply win battles and assert your authority. You are trying to usher your child into adulthood and simply need to exercise power on occasions to support that goal. Avoid power struggles. Pick your battles, sort out what's really important, and prepare to let natural consequences shape your child's behavior if necessary. No. Why am I freezing? Are we still here, guys?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Right, I don't know, something seemed to be going haywire right here. Maybe your internet is a little on the out of order side. Slides not changing, so I'm just trying to figure out what's happening here. We're almost done, nonetheless. All right. I'm going to stop the screen sharing and try.
Hi, Mrs. Campbell.
Yes, right, right. So we're back on.
All right.
So we have to look at how it is that we manage some of the issues surrounding limit setting. We have spoken about some of that already. When you are consistent in your application of carrots and sticks is essential. Pick your consequences that you can live with how you handle your children. Ensure that you are and your spouse are consistent in the application of rules. What we find a lot of times that one parent is saying that you can't go, and one other parent is saying, make your picnic go on, man. You must decide as a couple, as a family, what the decision is going to be before you have conversation with your adolescent. And of course, at some point, you'll have to expect that you will have to adjust your privileges and expectations as your teenager advances through adolescence. You have to make some adjustments, right? So, adolescence is not a simple task. It is something that you have to put effort into. It requires a lot of communication. It requires a lot of family time. It requires a lot of interaction and understanding what's happening in the present. Some of us are really stuck in the past and we don't get to be in the present with our adolescents. We need to be in the present. We need to go out on the road and learn the slangs. We need to learn some of the new things that are happening, the new dance, learn the new music, learn all of those. And when you learn them, you spend time with your adolescent, they teach you some of the things, and you teach them some of the things from your culture, the long time days, or when you were a teenager and I used to write songs. I used to write songs in songbooks. They are not doing it now, they have karaoke. So they go on YouTube and the words are coming up and they are singing along with it. So you have to just get with the times. You have to understand that while you are the authority in the house, they are also a part of who you're exerting the authority to. And they can become very resistant, and they can also become very supportive. They can become your best friends, and they can become your worst enemies. So adolescence is a very interesting time. It's a time where a lot of crazy things happen with the whole emotional, mental, moral, cognitive development. And if you are mindful of those as it happens, have conversation. Cannot be too much, have conversation, have conversation, have conversation. And so finally, what are your views?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On one of the slides, when you were speaking of sexuality,
mm-hmm.
you mentioned that they are exploring, and you said something along the lines of, as parents, we can help them to explore. What do you mean? How do we do that?
All right, so think about it. When you were a teenager and when you were having sexual urges, because remember, our bodies are sensitive and they will become stimulated. When you felt like if somebody touched your breast, you'd become excited. What would you have wanted your parents to know and to do about that? I'm throwing back the question at you because I want us to use our own experience, our own existence to answer some of these very questions. Remember, from they are smaller, you teach them about good touch and bad touch. You're going to tell them about the feeling that you'll have. Sometimes when you see a boy, you get an exciting feeling, like something run from your vagina, go straight up to your head. Like feel like you're in love. Have anyone ever experienced that before? You mean I'm the only one who feeling that?
Yes, man. When we were younger, we would have.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
would have experienced that.
Right. So we talk to them about all of these. They want to learn about intimacy. Talk to them, tell them stories, tell them about vagina and penis, tell them what sex is. Some of us can't describe to them what a sexual act is. talking about the fact that they are sexual beings, and it's natural for us to want to feel like, so when somebody touch your breast, it's exciting. When you touch your bottom, even when you take a shower and you touch your vagina, it feels interesting, you feel excited. Teach them about it. Sex and sexuality doesn't necessarily mean that you're teaching them that the whole 9 yards of having sex, but it's all the things that surround the whole sexual intimacy. So you're talking about being in a certain space with certain people, you know, with male company, be in that space. When they touch you, it feels exciting. Tell them the truth of it. It feels exciting when they kiss your neck, you know. They will tell you that you look sexy and you're the right lady for them and all of that. These are some of the things that you have the conversation about. So it's not really about saying how do you do penetrative sex, but how do you operate as a sexual being? Clear enough?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes. Any other views?
And Serena, I also want to share because I have two girls, and I always say to persons that I don't want them to go to an all-girls school. I prefer if they go to a co-ed school wherein they can understand boys at the same time of growing up. Because when they would have been in this stage, in the adolescent stage, and they're going to high school, at least I can know, okay, they like this boy, and they that person made them cry and they never bother like that one. Or like you said earlier, Serena, then sometimes they will say, okay, I don't know what I saw in that person, because their interests would have changed.
Exactly.
And now mine are actually in that early adolescence. And some evenings I get home, because they used to do online classes, and I would say, I come home from work and look how the place is all a mess. And one of them one evening said to me, Mommy, you didn't even ask me how my day was.
Yeah.
And since then, most times when I get home, if I want to scream my head off at them, first I have to say, how was your day? And then I can say any other thing, and they won't feel offended. So with adolescents, you never know what will happen with them. Like I said, sometimes they're in this mood where they feel like they want to talk, and another time they're so angry at you and you don't know what you did wrong.
And the mood changes so
often. Right. So like I said, it's a tricky stage, and you just have to learn with them. They talk to you and you talk back to them.
You don't want them to learn from other people what you ought to be teaching them, because you need to be the closest one to them so you can correct and guide. Any other thoughts? We're closing. Right. If there are no other issues, no other questions and concerns, I thank you very much. Yes, go ahead.
I just want to say I was waiting rather for somebody else to say something, but with all that has been expressed in understanding adolescence, and I am reflecting on the adolescents around me and how sometimes I feel like I'm the one who's going to go in a corner and cry because I just don't know what the heck is going on. But I just want to say to others that the EAP program also helps with matters like this. Dr. Deere and his team, they are there to help as well with family issues, your teenagers, your children. They are there for that purpose also. So if we need that additional source of help to dealing with our children in this regard, or even help for ourselves, we can contact the EAP 451-5151. They are there to help as well.
And that is very, very important. Our support system must be there. And there are times it will not be a smooth ride. It will be very, very rocky, because sometimes they can be very rebellious. As a matter of fact, when we find most of our adolescents are calling bad and they want man and all of that, sometimes because they depend on their parents for guidance and protection. If you find in instances where there is some family incest or so on, sometimes parents, fathers, older brothers, uncles, neighbors who we trust, partners, get intimate with those adolescents, what you find is that they become very cantankerous and rebellious because they are saying, if you are my guardian and you cannot protect me, and I'm not supposed to be sexually involved with you, but here you are violating me, what you're going to find is that they're going to be walking around and becoming very sexually promiscuous. They're going to be sharing with anybody they want to give. Anybody feel like they want something, they just give it because we have betrayed them, we failed to protect them. So sometimes the journey is not easy. Sometimes they will follow their peers and make your life a nightmare because they are in that developing stage. So as best as possible, from even before they get to the teenage years, we have to start friending them, learning about them, understanding, knowing who their friends are, you know, getting to know these persons. And for some of us who are don't marry the parent, the father or the mother, we need to know those people before you get in a relationship. And it's not just men alone that can rape. Women will rape boys. And all kind of things are happening. So we have to be careful of who it is that we're moving in our houses to be with our children, because sometimes those things can cause them to become very rebellious. Right? So my teenage daughter got pregnant, but she worked with me. She was prepared to work with me because she realized where the error was on her part. And, you know, she put herself in a risky position. And I must tell you that she went to Teachers College and she graduated, and she's doing very well. She works here at Cornwall and she's doing very well for herself, you know. So it's the kind of support that you give even in the midst of all of these trials and tribulations. Very, very important. All right, so if there are no other points or comments, I want to thank you for sharing this very interesting topic with me. I hope some of the information is worthwhile and usable. And if you find that you have any challenges, you can always call me, because my experience helped a lot of persons. A lot of persons, their teenage daughters got pregnant and they don't know what to do and they want to throw them out the house and all of that. And based on my support that I gave to my daughter and how she came out successful, you know, it shows that we just need to don't pay attention, don't look next left, don't look right, don't look at your neighbors, don't try to measure your child against anybody else's, because everybody is different. The genes are different, everything about us, our development, everybody is different. So you can only seek advice and help and support from your neighbors, your other friends, and you alone cannot grow your child, so you need to get other persons involved. Don't be angry with the neighbor to say, okay, don't watch me picnic. Don't rush teacher. The teacher pronounce bad things for your picnic. Allow other persons to be a part of your child's development, and that is very, very important. So again, thank you. Call me, call on the support that you have, utilize the support, and continue being good parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Holder-Campbell. Information was well received, and it is a fitting end to the month of May for this discussion that you shared with us. Thank you everyone for joining, and enjoy the rest of your evening until we meet again.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Thanks for coming by. I could go on and listen to Serena all night,
Yep.
all night, but we have to close that. So thank you again, Sister Serena. It was wonderful having you, and thanks everyone for coming. So we'll see each other next Monday.
All right. Bye, everyone.